In this video I want to tell you a little bit about a game by Knizia called Indigo. This is a game that came out a couple of years ago and I simply was not aware of its existence. I try to play every game that comes out, still working my way up to it, but not quite there yet. And recently I saw this game in my friendly local game store. It looked beautiful. Name Knizia was on the box. I mean, can be all that bad. Worst come to worst, it's gonna be an okay game at the very least. So I decided to pick it up. And it's a very simple abstract game. It may remind you of Tsuro. It definitely did that for me. It has a tile laying game in which you're gonna form paths in order to move some things around. And I can tell you already, however, that I like the game better than I like Tsuro. It is a game that I played mainly with my 6-year-old daughter, so that is to tell you how simple the game is, how intuitive it is. You can play it with a 6-year-old child, and the 6-year-old sometimes wins without even me trying to let her win. She just, I don't know, where her brain is wired, maybe gives her an advantage that way. But without further ado, let me show you Indigo and let me tell you a little bit about how it works. The game is played on this truly beautiful board. The color palette alone is just impressive. It's divided in X's. As you can see, we have 6 tiles that we place on the board in designated locations with that arrow pointing toward the center, and we place a yellow gem on each of them. Then we have a tile that goes in the middle, and in that tile you will place a blue gem and 5 green gems. And that tile, as you can see, has ribbons coming out of it on each edge. The point of the game is to create paths using those ribbons to move gems and get them into your gate areas. The board has 6 gate areas. Each gate area has 6 edges that you can use to exit a gem through. As you can see, those small yellow lines, you see those? Those are the edges. If a gem goes through one of those edges and you control that location, then you take the gem. And you will place your tokens on the board to indicate the locations that you control. For example, in a 2-player game, one player may control this one, and that gate out there. And with different players, you have different configurations. Actually, with a higher count of players, you may even have locations that are shared. Say you have a location which is only for yourself, and a location which is shared with another player. That means that if a gem goes through an edge in a location that is shared, the gem magically multiplies and becomes 2, and each player controlling that location takes the gem. That means with higher count of players and with shared gates, you also have to make sure not just that the gem goes through any of your gates, but through gates that don't help other people too much. But how do we move gems to start with? Well, using these tiles here. There are these stacks of tiles. You will shuffle them and make a stack or multiple stacks at the beginning of the game. They simply have different configurations of ribbons. In the basic game, each player will simply draw a tile. After you shuffle them, you may want to put them face down. In the basic game, each player will simply take one. The game that is the advanced game that my daughter and I like to play is 2 tiles. So you have 2 tiles. And basically, each turn you will place a tile on the board and you will draw a new one. So whether you have 1 or 2, that still applies. It's just if you have 2, after you draw, you have more options. Placing tiles on the board. You may place the tile wherever the heck you want, anywhere. With just one exception, you can place tiles in such a way that will seal the exits of a gate entirely. As it is showed there, pretty much it says you cannot place a ribbon that will connect that exit to that exit with no way of connecting those to the board. So this would be illegal. Any other configuration, including, for example, this one, would be fine. So in your turn, you place a tile on the board. And then, if the tile is adjacent to an area that contains gems, so then you simply, one or multiple areas containing gems, then you simply move all of the gems there as far as they can possibly go. For example, if I place that tile there, as you see, then there is there are gems adjacent to it, then I take one of these green ones and I move it as far as I can on its ribbon. This is important. Also, another important thing is that of those gems, the blue one leaves the tile last, only after the other ones have left. Suppose now that I or someone else places that tile there, then now we have a gem again, the green gem, that moves from there and it goes again as far as it can possibly go. It will go there. Then somebody will place this tile here, and now we move the gem here. And somebody does this later, and so now this gem goes like wee all the way here. So you can see there are fun things that you can do there. The point is precisely to create paths to get as many gems as possible out of your own gate. And this is pretty much the game. You continue until all gems have been assigned, and then at that point you score points. Yellow gems are worth 1 point, green gems are worth 2, and the blue gem is worth 3. And that's pretty much how you play the game. Player with the highest score wins the game. There is one last detail I want to show you, which is fascinating to me about the board, which is these tiles here, which are between different gates, as you can see, and they have a ribbon that runs through them. This is important because it makes it in such a way that when you try to get a gem through your central space, suppose I am this player, and this is the central space of my gate, then that's pretty safe. You know, next turn I'll probably be able to get it out. If I am getting it, if I am trying to get a gem, I'll suppose like so. I'm trying to be accurate, but it's just coming off funny. Oh, there you go. So suppose that's the situation. Whoop. So it's still in my gate, but it's next to this one. Then it's possible that the player that owns the next gate will try to do something funny like this, and then oopsie daisy, now the gem is there. Basically, these ribbons here, these tunnels here, make it so that these lateral areas are a little more dangerous, because it is possible for the next player to try to snatch that ribbon, that gem from you at the last minute. But then of course there are possible defenses against that too, because suppose that was the situation, you did that, and now I am annoyed at that, so I'm gonna place this game piece here, and then the gem bounces back this way. So there are a lot of interesting things that you can do, but definitely these tunnels / ribbons here between gates are very important to spice the game up. So I'm really glad that I bought Indigo, although it was a spur of the moment. I didn't know anything about it, because it is really fun. There is some hidden depth here. In a certain sense, it is what you expect from a very good Knizia game, which is a game that's going to be simple, without a lot of rules, and yet it is going to give you interesting choices, and yet it is going to be captivating, that has gameplay that reveals subtleties and layers as you go, which really is ideal in a sense, because if you're going to have a lot of fun playing a game and you can start right away without a lot of rules, and the small core of rules that you have lets you play with pretty much anybody, well, there are a lot of advantages in that. I have nothing against that. You may know that I play a lot of thematic games, but I do not mind at all an abstract game as long as it is elegant and it is just interesting to play. This one definitely is. I was talking about the layers that reveal themselves as you play. The role of those ribbons that are between gates that I showed you, that is something I didn't notice at the beginning. They realize, oh, this is interesting. Then, of course, you realize it's possible to go around, etc., etc., etc. So on one hand, the game at first sight may look pretty trivial. I just want to get that gem here, so I'm going to build a path there. And if you do that, I guess that's good enough. But the fun, of course, comes from other two sources. One is when you create particularly efficient paths, and now maybe you are getting 2 stones, 2 gems towards your area. Or as you're getting one, you're diverting one that was going to an opponent. So when you get more out of the basic idea. The other thing is when you notice a pattern that maybe no player had seen before, and you realize, in fact, that by placing that tile there, then you trigger a little crazy reaction that brings the gem not where the opponent wanted, or maybe exactly where you wanted it. So that moment of haha, that haha moment, it's fascinating to me because it's what you often have in puzzle games that can be pretty, cerebral and heavy. But this one doesn't feel like a puzzle game. I would almost say you get the fun of solving a puzzle from time to time without even trying to. When you see one of those patterns, you have the fun of solving a puzzle, but if you never see them, well, I guess you're going to play okay, but you're still going to have fun. It's not like a puzzle game in which if you don't see the pattern, if you don't see the solution, then you're stuck and there's nothing you can do. So I felt my brain stimulated in a variety of ways as I was planning my strategy, trying to see what my diabolical 6-year-old was doing and trying to prevent her from getting ahead. From time to time, getting these moments in which I see a big pattern, and it's just rewarding. It's very satisfying to do so. Moments in which you're able to steal a gem at the last minute, etc., etc. There are just a lot of interesting decisions that emerge from such a simple idea as play a tile, move whatever gem applies in that situation, and done. Really, really fun. I'm really happy that I bought this game. It doesn't hurt that it looks really beautiful. Again, the art is so simple, as I would say, it's as simple as the game, but just as the game, it's really satisfying. The color palette is just beautiful. It's delicate. It's really nice. So you're not gonna just stare at the board as you stare at the board because of gameplay. You're also gonna enjoy interacting with beautiful components. So all in all, I'm very happy that I acquired Indigo. If you don't know it yet, give it a try. Definitely, it is a really solid game.